Hello friends. So in this video, we will discuss about Max Weber's theory of ideal type. We are covering all the PYQ repeated themes in these lectures. So listen to it carefully and this will help you to boost your marks in your sociology paper because these are the themes which will be repeated every year. Now, first of all, we will try to understand what is ideal type. UPSC has asked many questions on ideal types. They have asked, is ideal type a mental construct? They have asked questions on ideal type characteristics. They have asked also question on Weber's best application of ideal type, that is bureaucracy. That has been also asked. So in through this lecture, you will be able to handle any kind of question that will be thrown to you by the UPSC. So Max Weber developed the concept of ideal type as a methodological tool for social science research. His theory of bureaucracy was prime example of it. Through this theory, through this method or a device, he wanted to have a tool through which he can introduce objectivity in the research. If you carefully observe what Max Weber has said about the objectivity in sociology, he said that the choice of topic can be based on value. If you are living in India, what is relevant, you will be analyzing it, and that will be decided based on your values. However, once you have decided the topic, while you are conducting the research, you need to be objective. And to be objective, he had devised a method which is called as ideal type. So what are ideal type? Ideal types are concepts based on the basis of facts collected carefully and analytically for empirical research. So they will collect various facts and then those facts will be analyzed, and by this method you will construct an ideal type. It cannot be just out of your curiosity or mind or biases, but you will have to collect the facts to make that ideal type. They are not the mirror image of the reality. They are purposeful exaggeration of the reality. It When it is exaggerated, then it can be utilized for comparative analysis. So you have constructed an ideal type which is exaggerated model, and now you have a real model, various real models, and now you are comparing both, comparing A and B. So this will be a measuring rod. That measuring rod will be nothing but ideal type. Remember, ideal is not in normative sense. It is not about values. Ideal doesn't have any conception of morality in the Weber's theory. So you should not write or understand in this manner. Now, an ideal type was a mental image or conception rather than a material object. And this was the question of UPSC that was asked to you. And it was the words of Weber itself. Then you had to define what is ideal type, how it is a mental construct, how it is a theoretical construct used to analyze social phenomena. Those things you will have to talk about, and then you have to talk about why this particular method was devised by Max Weber. He wanted to introduce objectivity in the sociological research. And it's a partial conception. It is not telling the full reality. It is not the mirror image of what is actual in the society. He called it as a heuristic device to compare things. Now, what is the purpose of ideal types? The purpose of ideal type, the first is to guide your empirical research. So ideal type will serve as a guideline or will show you the path while you are conducting an empirical research by providing a framework for analysis. Secondly, they are used in systemization of data which you have collected on historical or social reality that can be systemized using this method. And of course, it will be used for comparative analysis and objective understanding, as I had discussed before. Now, the best application of this theory was Weber's theory of bureaucracy. Weber was born in a society or was living in a society where bureaucracy was dominating like anything. He was from Germany and bureaucracy was everywhere. The dominance of bureaucracy was observed in every nook and the corner of that German society. And that inspired him to give a detailed theory on bureaucracy, ideal type of bureaucracy, in which he gave mainly six important characteristics of Weberian bureaucracy, which you have to understand. The first characteristic was task specialization. So, bureaucracy promotes timely completion of work at the highest level of skill. Tasks are divided into categories based on team members. Various team members have different competencies and areas of expertise. Employees and departments have clearly defined roles and responsibility. There will be different departments as you go in the any government offices. You see various departments are there, and all departments are specialized roles. And within a department also there are various employees. They also have various specialized roles. They are not having any varied role, but they are doing only one role with a extreme precision. This was the conception of Weber. As I said, it only tells partial reality on ground. How bureaucracy functions, we will see in the critical analysis of his theory. Okay, and he was of the view because of this task specialization, there increases a organizational efficiency. Second characteristic Weber gave about bureaucracy was that it has a hierarchical structure. If you see bureaucracy, there is an extreme hierarchy, extreme rigid hierarchy, which exists in the bureaucracy. And one cannot just take decision without or circumventing the hierarchy. It is so rigid in nature. If you see the government offices in India, they have rigid hierarchies and you will have to obey the hierarchy. He was of the view that management is organized into layers with each layer responsible for their team's performance. Each layer supervises the layers below while being controlled by layers above. So this layer is supervising the below layer and it is being supervised by the upper layer. Those at the top of the management hierarchy wield the most power. Okay, like the civil services in India in terms of the permanent bureaucracy. Above civil service, there will be obviously the temporary executive, the politicians and the ministers and all. They will be even controlling the whole bureaucracy from the top. While those at the bottom wield the least power. Power will reduce from if you go from the top to the bottom. Lines of communication, delegation, and responsibility divisions are clearly defined in this structure. The third characteristic was formal selection. The process of selection is formal and they are based on a given technical skill or competencies. There is an open competition. The educational requirement, the experience or training is clearly devised, and no other factor should be considered. Salaries depend entirely on position, as employees are paid for their services divided by job position. So employees have no ownership, interest, and contract times are determined by organizational rules and regulations. That means they do not own anything, first of all. Second, the contract terms, the service rules are defined, the regulations are defined. And the prime example is civil services conduct rules. They are defining what is the organization rule, what is the rule for an individual employee, what are the regulations that an individual has to follow. So this is what he wanted to say. And the fourth is rules and obligations. Employees should always know what exactly is expected of them. Rules are clearly defined and strictly enforced to foster unity and ensure smooth, efficient operation. Okay. And who will implement this? The higher level of hierarchy will enforce on the lower level of hierarchy. The fifth important characteristic is impersonal environment. So employees' relationship should be strictly professional. It should not be something that you are taking the personal interest into the professional sphere. You will have to maintain the difference, as we study in ethics also. The impersonal environment is intended to encourage decision making based solely on facts and objectivity. It guards against favoritism, nepotism, outside pressure, political sway, etc., etc. Okay. The sixth and the most important is merit-based promotion. So advancement should not be based on whims and fancies, but solely based on the performance, experience, and technical qualification. Personal decisions should not be influenced by uh, personal favors, relationship, or personality traits. There is clear distinction between organizational property controlled within the sphere of office and personal property. There will be a clear distinction. Now, this is the heuristic device, or this is the purposeful exaggeration given by Max Weber. But what is the reality? Now we will do the critical analysis of it. The first and the foremost critic of this theory of Max Weber was Merton. Merton said that bureaucracy function in such a way that they excessively focus on the rules. They are excessively focusing on the means. When they are excessively focusing on the means, they get uprooted or deviated from the goal itself. If you go in any government offices, they will ask you n number of documents. The same work done in a corporate or a private sphere will be much more efficient in terms of organizing things. Here you will have to, if you go to any government bank to take a loan, just try it once. They will ask you this much of documents to pass it. Okay. Excessive focus on mean. And if you go to a corporate bank, they will ask 1/10 of those documents. And the process will be much swift. And what happens in this excessive focus on means, the people who do not have desired resources, they get further marginalized. This was the biggest critic by the Merton. Okay. And there is clearly a gap between the ideal nature of bureaucracy, which is based on efficiency and not having nepotism, etc., etc. But in real world, there is personal interest which dominates the bureaucracy. And this has been said by many of the thinkers like Harold Lasky, Carl Frederick, Victor Thompson, Warren Barnes. They have criticized bureaucrats for violating prescribed moral conduct norms, violating the regulation that have been prescribed. And in the India, there have been lots of criticism of bureaucracy. Professor Amartya Sen has also criticized bureaucracy for having excessive hand in glove with the politicians, not maintaining the impartiality character. So these all you will have to write. If there is a 20 marks question, you will have to write this critical analysis with examples, with the current examples also in detailed when there is a 20 marks question. How will you structure the answer? First, you will define what is ideal type. Okay. At the top, what does Weber loosely meant by ideal types? Then the major characteristics of ideal types or the major purpose of the ideal types. You will discuss 4-5 points out of it. Then you will give the examples of the application of ideal types, the Protestantism and a spirit of capitalism. That is also one of the ideal type which was devised by Weber. Bureaucracy is another. You will discuss about these. Then you will criticize. If there is a question only on ideal type of bureaucracy, then you will criticize bureaucracy more. If the question is on ideal type per se, then you can criticize on a whole the Max Weber's approach. One of the biggest criticism of his theories is that he has not clearly gave the guidelines how things will be conducted. There is clear lack of the guidelines that should be provided or the methodology that should be provided for conduction of these research, whether it is Westian, whether it is ideal type, and there is the biggest criticism of Max Weber is this. Though he has mixed a lot of theories combining into one, he got inspired from many things like the idealism of the German idealism, also the Kantianism, also all these things bit by bit inspired Max Weber. So This is the theory. If and at last you can, in conclusion, you can write about the relevance in short. Okay, so it is a no doubt a valuable framework for understanding organizational structure, and it can be utilized for benchmarking, comparing, analyzing. Okay, and things like organizational efficiency in the contemporary times. Ideal types can be a very good method to analyze this. In such nature, you will conclude the answer with the positivity, with the way forward, with the utility, so that your answer becomes complete. Thank you very much. Take care.